Well, Bradley Beal is expected to reach a buyout with the Suns. That's according to multiple sources. Beal has 2 years and $110 million left on his current deal. Now, the expectation is that Beal will take a $13.9 million reduction on his contract so the Suns can stretch out the deal over the next 5 years and potentially avoid the luxury tax. Now, that would allow Beal to hit free agency and choose his next destination. For more on NBA free agency, I'm joined by CBS Sports NBA analysts John Gonzalez and Sam Quinn. You guys, let's start with Bradley Beal. Clippers, Lakers, Bucks, Timberwolves, all rumored to be interested in Beal. But John, what do you see as the best fit?
Yeah, all of a sudden, Bradley Beal, whose contract is one of the most onerous in the NBA, people are like, okay, well, if I don't have to pay that salary, maybe he could be useful. There's going to be two teams here that I'm identifying, both for Bradley Beal and Chris Paul. And you could even make them interchangeable, but for the purposes of simplicity here, we'll say Bradley Beal to the Clippers makes some sense. They just swapped out Norm Powell for John Collins. They have a loaded front court rotation in Ivica Zubac and Brook Lopez and now John Collins and Nico Batum, but they could use some backcourt help behind James Harden. They saved some money on that Norm Powell deal, around $5.3 million. So once Beal gets bought out, if you can get him for that price, you slot him into the Clippers. The Clippers are a very deep team. They were really good defensively last year. You wouldn't need Bradley Beal to be a monster offensively or even in terms of how many minutes he'd suck up. You're looking at him being your 7th, 8th, 9th guy. Bradley Beal could do that. Send him to the Clippers.
Yeah, John, you read my mind, right? Bradley Beal was a $20 million player last year, making $50 million. That's totally untenable. But if you're getting him for the minimum or a part of the mid-level, now you're talking about some really good value. I don't think the Clippers would have given away Norm Powell if they didn't feel pretty good about their chances of getting Bradley Beal, right? The Clipper offense, when James Harden went to the bench last year, was a disaster. Whether it was Kevin Porter Jr., Bogdan Bogdanovic, they just couldn't generate bench offense without Harden. You bring in Beal, and you can solve that problem right away. They've really improved the front court, like you said, John Collins, Brook Lopez. If you bring in Bradley Beal, like, look, health is always going to be a question there, right? We never know with Kawhi Leonard, James Harden's getting older, but the talent on that roster, you're talking about a potential contender in the West.
All right, I love the consensus here. All right, Bradley Beal to the Clippers, it's a good fit. But as John mentioned, you know, Bradley Beal, Chris Paul, kind of interchangeable in these conversations. CP3 has said that he has, quote, at most a year left in the NBA. Now, the 12-time All-Star has yet to hoist the Larry O'Brien trophy. So, Sam, where do you see the 40-year-old point guard playing his 21st and possibly final NBA season?
Yeah, I think it'll be Phoenix, right? Chris Paul has had the chance to ring chase in the past, right? Last year, I'm sure there would have been contenders interested at the minimum. Instead, he signs in San Antonio because it gives him a chance to start. He doesn't want to just be on a team for the sake of being on a team. He wants to actually play, and I think Phoenix is a really good situation for him. They have all of these shooting guards. They have these younger centers. They need somebody to actually set them up and create these shots. He knows Phoenix. He's obviously been there. He made it to the finals with Devin Booker. Is he going to win that elusive championship with the Suns this year? Probably not, right? But could he go in there, help them be a competitive team, maybe make the play-in, make the playoffs, help develop those younger guys they have, right? Mark Williams, Kaman Malawach, would surely benefit from his presence in pick and roll. I think that's a good fit if Chris Paul's priority here is actually like playing real minutes and not just sitting on the bench and trying to collect a ring that way.
Yeah, if he was going to chase a ring, I think that he would have wanted to have a reunion in L.A. with the Clippers rather than the Phoenix Suns because, as Sam mentioned, they've got a zillion shooting guards. I'm not sure that that's the best fit for him in his final season, but fine. I thought, hey, if you're looking around, and this isn't going to be a team either that has a chance to win a championship this year, but if you're just looking about minutes and trying to help a team that could obviously use a point guard, the Bucks would be a good landing spot for them because I was looking at their roster today, and so they stretched out Dame Lillard, who obviously has the Achilles injury, over the next 5 years. I thought that was a terrible idea just so they could sign Miles Turner and just cling to whatever hope that they have. And I think it's dwindling that Giannis will just stick around in perpetuity and end his career there. I think it's a fool's errand. However, they need a starting point guard. Right now, as I was looking at this, who's dribbling the basketball in Milwaukee? Are we talking about Kevin Porter Jr. here or Vasily Micic? Like, Chris Paul, for the fact that he's 40 years old, is still going to be infinitely better as an option next to Giannis Antetokounmpo than any of those guys. Now, I don't know that I necessarily want that for poor Chris Paul because you're going to be in basketball purgatory in Milwaukee, but that's a potential landing spot as well if he doesn't go to Phoenix.
Hey, it's a great basketball fit. He has said he wants to stay close to L.A., close to home, close to his family, but we'll see how it all shakes out. Another guy, though, who mentioned he wants to stay on the West Coast, Russell Westbrook. He's reportedly eager to find a team closer to home in free agency, but you've got to think it's unlikely he'll end up in LA. So, John, do you see Russ ending up on the West Coast, or where is the best fit for him in free agency?
Yeah, great question. The music is starting to come to an end here, and I don't know that there's a lot of chairs left for Russell Westbrook to sit in. I mean, the best spot for him was Denver. He opted out of his contract because whatever deal he gets next would be more on the vet minimum than he would have gotten paid this year. I get why he did it, but all of a sudden you look around, okay, so the Kings were mentioned, but they went out and got Dennis Schroeder. The Knicks were mentioned. My note here is why, all caps, question mark, question mark, question mark. The Pacers obviously could use a point guard now that Tyrese Halliburton is going to be around, but does he really fit into the organizational ethos in Indiana where it's really do more with less? I don't think that he does. I mentioned the Bucks previously. They could use somebody to dribble the ball. I just think that that would be a terrible fit for the Bucks, even though they need warm bodies. I think CPE would be a better option. I just keep coming back to it's a bummer that he didn't figure out a way to stay with the Denver Nuggets because he had a pretty good season last year, Madeline. I mean, Joker can paper over a lot of concerns for players and make players look better, right? I mean, Russell Westbrook, previous stops in LA didn't go well. All of a sudden you get paired with the best player, apologies to SGA, in the world in Joker, and you look pretty good. I don't know. The answer is I don't know where he's going to wash up. I don't like any of these options for him, and I think he's running out of them pretty fast here.
Yeah, I guess I'll say Sacramento just because there's been the reported interest. They obviously want to get some playmaking at guard. You know, they got Dennis Schroeder. Not a great passer. Russ could really help them on that front at least. But I guess they'd probably have to trade somebody just to fit him in, right? Like, are they trading Devin Carter, Malik Monk, somebody to bring in Jonathan Kuminga at forward so you can open up some minutes in the backcourt? I think it's notable that after the pretty strong season that he had in Denver, they haven't exactly rushed to bring him back, right? How many contenders does this guy need to go into, get excited about, and then kind of wash out from before all the rest of the NBA teams look around and say, like, maybe this just isn't somebody that we want to have around? So I do sort of wonder if we might be nearing the point where maybe it makes sense for him to go international, right? Maybe there's a EuroLeague team that would be really excited about his athleticism, could use him a little bit more than the backup roles that at best are probably available to him in the NBA. I just don't think after washing out with the Lakers and the Clippers and the Nuggets that there's just going to be that much interest, right? Like, the rest of the league was watching as all of this happened.
Fair, and we'll see. I mean, I can't imagine a world in which Russ is going overseas, but maybe. I mean, anything is possible. At this time of year, too, in free agency, we're all playing detective, right? We're all trying to understand what the next move is going to be. And I got to point out, Ben Simmons posted an Instagram story riding a jet ski in Miami over the weekend. So let's talk some Ben Simmons. While some people on the internet might see that as foreshadowing for a potential free agency destination, it also might just be a nice time of year to ride a jet ski in Miami. So, John, we all know the potential is there with Simmons, but what do you see as the best fit for the former number one overall pick, who I know you're well familiar with as a Sixers fan?
Yeah, Madeline, I'm laughing here because I love this time of year. It's Ben Simmons puts stuff on Instagram season, and it's usually Ben Simmons in an empty gym shooting threes and him going, this is the year that I'm going to become a three-point shooter. Spoiler alert, it's never that year. All right, so where should Ben Simmons go? I thought, much like Russell Westbrook in Denver, that the best spot for him was the LA Clippers. Doesn't look like that's going to happen. He actually fit in pretty well there, right? What do you need from him? Like 15 to 20 minutes maximum, play some defense, basically be knockoff Draymond, where he can do a lot of things on the basketball court. He's athletic. He can run the floor. He rebounds really well. He passes really well. He can defend. If he had just embraced that role earlier in his career, rather than being the guy who was defiantly, no, I'm a point guard and I'm a star in this league, it could have been a better situation for Ben Simmons. So there's been two different rumors, both of which I find absolutely hilarious. One would be back to the Philadelphia 76ers. I can't imagine the reception that he would get from the Philadelphia media and the fans. And the other one, almost as hilarious, but not quite equally so, would be the New York Knicks, the media glare there with those fans. I think maybe the Knicks and their fans would at least try to embrace him a little bit, but ultimately I think that they would land on the same position as Philadelphia fans and media, which is that Ben Simmons is not really a good fit and wants to be bigger and better than he actually is with his talent. So I guess send him to the New York Knicks just for my personal entertainment.
Yeah, let's get out of these big markets, John. Can I interest you in the Indiana Pacers? They're not going to have Tyrese Halliburton next year. What does Ben Simmons need to succeed? He needs a lot of shooting around him, and ideally you want him to play in a fast-paced system where his half-court deficiencies aren't going to be as glaring. That sounds like a lot like the Pacers to me. If Benedict Mathurin is going to be starting in Halliburton's place, that's a shoot-first player. You want to introduce a little bit more playmaking, around him if he's going to be playing more without Halliburton. Ben Simmons could bring that, right? We think he can still probably defend in a lower minutes role. His health is going to be an issue, but if you're paying him the minimum, like, why not? I don't know what else the Pacers are doing with this season, so give it a shot. I think that's an interesting fit that I'd like to see.
We're going to be continuing to monitor all the Instagram stories as free agency rolls on. John Gonzalez, Sam Quinn, thanks so much for the insight. Now here's a look at the current odds to win the NBA title. The Thunder, the favorites to run it back, followed by the Knicks at plus 750. Knicks coming off their first Eastern Conference Finals appearance in 25 years. The Rockets, Nuggets, and Cavs all tied for the third best odds at plus 850.